In section 2, we're going to look at safeguarding at New College Group. We will look at the policies and preventative measures that we have in place and also talk you through your responsibility as a member of staff. If we look first at who makes up the safeguarding teams, there are 2 designated leads, one in Manchester and one in Liverpool. These are the head of the safeguarding teams and have overall responsibility for safeguarding at the college. They write, review and enforce the policies and procedures, and they also act as a point of contact for the LADO, who is the local authority designated officer. The LADO works for social services and has overall responsibility for safeguarding within their area. The designated lead also provides support and advice to senior management team and also to students and colleagues. Safeguarding officers support the designated lead and provide support and advice on a range of issues including welfare. They also ensure that the policies and the procedures are followed. The safeguarding team in Liverpool is made up of Kirill, Ricardo and Christine. And in Manchester, Charlotte, Colette, Kerry and Natasha. The college has a number of policies that are directly related to safeguarding. The first 3 are related to those areas that we discussed in section 1, namely safeguarding under 18s, safeguarding vulnerable adults, and also the prevention of extremism and radicalisation. The other policies that are directly related to safeguarding are the online safety policy, the safer recruitment policy, and also the staff code of conduct. You will be given these policies to read in full and sign that you've read them over the next few weeks. So we're just going to take a look now at some of the preventative measures that we have to try and safeguard our staff and our students. We have a number of preventative measures at the college which are intended to reduce the risk of harm coming to students or staff. All of our staff are DBS checked, and some staff may have been asked to complete a DBS risk assessment. This is so we can start you working. However, you won't be able to work unsupervised with under 18s until we have the enhanced disclosure returned. Secondly, we also require 2 references before we can allow you to start work. This is a legal requirement. We also require staff, students and visitors to wear ID badges. We have different coloured lanyards so we can identify different people. Older students and visitors wear purple lanyards. Staff wear gold lanyards and under 18s wear pink lanyards. It's important that if you see someone without an ID badge that you challenge them. We need to know that people who are in the college have a right to be there, and everyone should have a badge visible. Thirdly, we have a medical register. This is so that all staff are aware of any students who have any medical problems, any learning difficulties or any disabilities. We use symbols to identify students who have problems or difficulties. We use symbols so that confidentiality is maintained, but that staff can easily recognise if somebody needs some help. The medical register is shared with staff, and the symbols are also added to registers so that if someone is having a difficulty in class, the teacher is aware of what type of difficulty it is and can so take appropriate action. We also use a number of risk assessments. So for example, this is for a social activity for students who are going to Blackpool. We ask that staff complete risk assessments for any social activity, but also a risk assessment is completed if any outside speakers or trainers come to the college. Risk assessments can be found in forms, which is on the shared drive, or if you're a teacher, they can be found in the risk assessment folder in the staff room. At the college, we take e-safety very seriously, as this is one of the easiest ways people can be accessed. We have a network filtering system which prevents students and staff from accessing any unsuitable sites. Obviously, we can't protect students outside of the college, but we can help them by giving them some information about the risks and how to protect themselves. Encouraging students to make sure that their passwords are strong is one way that they can help prevent identity theft or information theft. Also, never giving out any of their details over the phone in response to a text or via email, and to always log out of their email. Cyberbullying and harassment are things that we have experienced at the college. Students obviously want to make friends with people and frequently share their phone number or befriend people on Facebook, etc. However, we have had cases where this has turned into somebody being harassed, and it's how we follow up on that. So things like taking screenshots or saving abusive texts as evidence if we do decide to call the police. Helping students to block numbers or remove contacts on phones and devices, and encouraging them to report the abuse. Unfortunately, the internet has made grooming a lot easier, and again, this is something that is very difficult to control. However, informing students of the risk of this happening and explaining to them how they need to be very careful about who they're talking to and not giving out their details or befriending someone that they don't actually know in person. If they are getting strange messages and making them feel uncomfortable, to report them to one of the staff, and never meet somebody in person alone who they've met via the internet or social media apps. You have a number of responsibilities as a member of staff. The first is that you maintain a professional relationship with students. Students may request that you become their friend on Facebook or another social networking site, but we ask that you don't do this and that you refer them to the college Facebook page instead. We also ask that you don't give out your personal phone number or personal email. The reason for this is some of our students may misinterpret you accepting a friend request or giving out personal details as more than it is. If you ever do feel uncomfortable about a student, then please report this to the safeguarding team or your manager straight away, and we will speak to the student. Your second responsibility is to be aware of signs or symptoms that somebody could possibly being abused, as we discussed in section 1, and secondly, to any unidentified people at the college. Remember, it's fine for you to challenge somebody who isn't wearing an ID badge. Thirdly, if you have any concerns, you need to report them, and you also need to record them. If you are worried about somebody, please speak to one of the safeguarding team as quickly as you can do, preferably face to face. However, if you can't find somebody there and then please send an email, or if it's later on in the evening, please use the emergency phone number. Somebody mans this phone 24 hours a day, and so there will always be someone to take your call. Secondly, once you have reported a concern, you need to fill in a welfare and safeguarding record of concern form. These forms can be found in all of the offices, and also they are available for teachers on the shared drive and for other staff on the M drive in shared documents and in forms. The form then needs to be given to one of the safeguarding officers. Most of the time you will observe something that gives you cause for concern. However, occasionally somebody might disclose something to you directly. This is a difficult situation, and this part of the training explains how to handle that carefully. It's important to remember that if someone is being abused, they're going to have very complicated feelings and a lot of feeling of shame, and so you need to be quite gentle with them. Try and keep your body language relaxed as possible. If you show shock, this could be misinterpreted as disgust, or if you get upset, this might upset the person further, and both can stop them from explaining more. Please listen more than you speak. It's important that the person can tell things in their own words. Also offer reassurance. Explain to them that you are going to get help, but that you can't keep something secret. However, anybody that you do tell will be a person that needs to know, and all information will be kept confidential. Also, don't ask leading questions. By leading questions, we mean questions that are either direct or that are putting words into someone's mouth. For example, did they hurt you? Or that must have been awful. These are questions which come from you and are not the person explaining how they felt. Ask open questions. So, for example, can you tell me what happened? Or can you tell me more about how you felt? If the case is put up for prosecution, leading questions can make it inadmissible in court, and so it's really important to try and let the person tell it in their words. Also, please don't comment on the alleged abuser. The person who's being abused is likely to be being abused by somebody that they know or have a relationship with. They will have really complicated feelings, and if you say that that person is awful or disgusting, again this might stop them from talking, as they still have feelings of love towards them. Lastly is to report and record the disclosure. It isn't a good idea to write down things while somebody is telling you something, but as soon as they have finished, please go and write down everything that you can remember as accurately as possible. Also, if you feel that the person is at direct risk, you need to go and get somebody to get help immediately. Once we receive a concern, the first thing that we do is make sure that the student is safe. The second thing we do is talk to the student and offer them support. At this point, we might decide to involve the local authorities if we feel the risk is imminent or extremely serious. We may also speak to other people involved if we feel that it's safe to do so. If we feel that it is a high risk, we will leave this to the local authorities. If the allegation involves another student or a member of staff, the following steps will be taken. Firstly, the person who the allegation has been made against will be interviewed. They may be asked to leave the college until further investigation happens, so that they don't have any contact with the other person involved. At this point, we will make a decision as to whether to contact the police or the local authority designated officer. If we feel that the case is beyond our remit or is really serious, then we have a legal obligation to do this. The case will then be investigated fully, either by ourselves or by the local authorities. During an investigation, if someone has had an allegation made against them, they will be offered support by the HR department. Everything will also be kept strictly confidential. Support will be offered by the safeguarding team to the person who has made the allegation. Following an investigation, 2 courses of action can be taken. If the allegation has been upheld and the authorities decide that there is a case, the staff member will be dismissed without pay or notice, and we will inform the DBS. In the case of a student, they will be expelled from the college and their embassy will be informed, and any help that we can give to the investigating authorities will be given. If an allegation is found to be unfounded, the staff member will be reinstated fully and will be paid for the time that they've had off. We must keep records for a number of years according to the law. However, these will be kept in a password-protected folder that is only accessed by the safeguarding team and the principal. In the case of a student, no further action will be taken. In the case of a student, again, we will keep any records in a password-protected folder. No further action will be taken, and they will be offered additional support if they feel that it is needed. Throughout all of these processes, everything is documented and is kept in the safeguarding folder on the M Drive, which is only accessible for a few people. Also, confidentiality must be maintained at all times. If we feel that someone has breached confidentiality in a safeguarding case, disciplinary action will be taken against them. Just on a final note, it's important to say that most of the concerns that the safeguarding team receive are those concerning someone's welfare and are not a safeguarding concern. However, any welfare concern can turn into a safeguarding case, so any concern is important and should be reported. But it's our responsibility, not yours, to decide which is which and to decide what action should be taken. Your responsibility is just to report any concerns you have and also to record them. This is the end of section 2, so please answer the questions and complete section 3.